Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Live Longer World podcast. Through this podcast, I have conversations with scientists, biotech entrepreneurs, investors, and other advocates that are transforming the field of longevity science. We have conversations on how you can slow aging, reverse aging, and maximize longevity now and in the future. If you are new here, my name is Astha Jain and I am an advocate for longevity science. Besides this podcast, I also have a newsletter where I often discuss longevity lifestyle hacks and some basics of longevity science. On my YouTube, I also create some other videos talking about aging as well as longevity lifestyle tips. If you wish to listen to this podcast on other platforms, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whichever other medium you prefer. All right, that's it for now. And with that, let's get started with today's episode. My guest today is Carolina Oliveira, who is the founder and CEO of OneSkin Technologies. OneSkin is not just a skincare company, they call themselves a longevity company. Their first product is a topical supplement which, when applied to your skin, actually clears away senescent cells in your skin, or at least slows down the progression of senescent cells. And as we discussed in a previous episode, senescent cells tend to accumulate with age. These are cells that don't divide but release toxic chemicals and in the process harm the cells around them too. So clearing away senescent cells with age helps boost longevity. So in this conversation with Carolina, we obviously spoke about skin aging, what healthy skin aging looks like. We spoke about Senolytics and how her product compares to other senolytic therapies. And we also discussed other supplements such as retinol that are used in skincare products. This is a wide-ranging conversation, and Carolina has a brilliant scientific as well as an entrepreneurial mind. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with me and Carolina.
Well, hello, Carolina, and thank you so much for your time today, and welcome to the Live Longer World podcast.
Hello, Asta. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Yeah, I think before we start, I want to ask you, your skin looks great. So what product have you been using?
Well, I'm using this, new product that was launched this year. It's the best one. It's called OneSkin. So if you haven't tried yet, you needed to check this. After this, you don't need like many products. One product solve your problems. And you don't need more filters, when you have like Zoom meetings. It's all your natural skin.
Well, that sounds great. I definitely have to get my hands on it. But no, I'm also excited to talk to you because my mom, in fact, just 2 days ago, she was asking me, she's like, well, you've been doing all this aging stuff and that's great, but my skin has started getting wrinkles. What do I do about that? I said, I'll have to look into that. And I guess I found the solution. So being a classic, I guess, Indian child, we're trying to, look good in our parents' eyes. So that should be a tick.
And that's how you found us, like looking for a product to your mom, or no?
No, I think I'd like come across you before that as well.
Okay.
But I started doing a lot more research on that. So yeah, so no, that's good. I'm very excited to hear about it. So I think a good place to start would be you have in the past mentioned that, well, skin is the largest organ in our body, but it's often been overlooked in longevity research. So maybe why don't you tell us a bit about what is skin aging and perhaps why it's been overlooked, and then we can dive into what your company OneSkin is doing to actually reverse some of that skin damage.
Yes, of course. Yeah, so basically when we started studying skin aging, we realized that, the same mechanisms that are behind skin aging is also behind in now other tissues aging. So we were interested in the accumulation of, damaged senescent cells that has been regarded as, a central event in aging. And a lot of studies have also shown that if we can eliminate those cells, from tissues and from the whole organism, we can recover, we can rejuvenate, mouse, and then we can kind of, restore the functionality of that tissue and, the whole organism. And what we realize is that, one of the main, I would say, problems of senescent cells is that they start secreting those inflammatory signals, right? What we call CESP. So the senescent cells itself, I would say, is not so bad, but when they start secreting those factors, they basically induce other cells around to become senescent, to enter in this senescent state. So they work like a bad apple in a basket, spoiling, the good apples around. And if you think that those senescent cells are accumulating in our skin, and if you think of the size of the organ, that skin is, when that inflammation that's being secreted build up and then it gets to your bloodstream, that can really, impact the onset of other chronic diseases, and even can be related to mortality risks. So it's very interesting when we see studies, for example, of people that have psoriasis or other, inflammatory skin conditions, that they have higher chances to develop cardiovascular diseases. And that's basically, inflammation that's coming from your skin. But the same happens when your skin ages. The skin barriers gets weaker, and then you have, that release of inflammation into your body, into your bloodstream, that can be, affecting, the onset of those chronic diseases. So for us, when we saw that, was kind of, an aha moment, because no one thinks about treating your skin to improve your body's health, or even to prevent, obviously, cardiovascular disease. But obviously, everything is interconnected, but it makes sense that, your largest organ would have a huge influence in your body's health. And that's kind of, the messaging that we are bringing here at OneSkin, in terms of bringing awareness about the importance of skin health, beyond the, appearance, beyond the aesthetics, but also, to improve and to be another step of, having your healthiest, life as you age. So
that's good. It's also one of the simplest analogies and explanations of cellular senescence that I've heard. I'm curious, you mentioned not other people look at skin as the organ to be targeting senescent cells. Is there a hypothesis you have around why it's been overlooked? Is there maybe perhaps different organs that tend to accumulate more senescent cells than others, and maybe skin is not one of those? Is there a concentration in particular organs of senescent cells that you see?
Yeah, that's a great point. The concentration, again, is not so high. The studies have shown that it's probably about, the highest at 5%, and it's very damaged, it could be a little higher than that. But again, even 5% of senescent cells, and throughout your whole, skin, these can, the inflammation secreted, this can significantly impact your body's health. Now, why it's being overlooked, I think for two reasons. Obviously, senescent cells is a very, I would say, new, concept to be explored to target aging and age reversal. So the skincare industry has not yet, absorbed that type of, concept and strategy. And the same that we have now in our healthcare system, that we are used to treat on the symptoms, with, drugs that will treat your symptoms, the skincare industry is used to do the same, right? So the treatments and the products are designed to treat the symptoms and not the cause. So you see, for example, Botox or laser or acids that will, peel off your skin. So you grow a new skin, but doesn't mean that you are growing a younger skin, right? Because you are just, inducing cell renewal, but you are not targeting the damaged cells that are really driving the aging process, I would say, in the cellular level. So the strategy that we are bringing, it's much more targeted, is specific on the damaged cells. That's what's really causing, the aging to accelerate in the tissue, while the current strategy is basically inducing like a cell renewal, a skin renewal without targeting, where it's the cause of the problem.
I see. Okay. That's a great point, though, that even if it's 5%, the thing with senescent cells, as you mentioned, is that they secrete these inflammatory cytokines, and they just, it's like a bad apple, affects everything. So the 5% could honestly just spread to 100%. So I totally agree.
Because, imagine like if you have, a heart that is this size, and if you put all of the weight of your skin together, the impact from the skin can be higher than an organ that has a higher concentration of senescent cells.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned cell renewal and targeting the skin and clearing senescent cells from your skin as your company strategy. I guess why don't you just tell us a bit about the product and how it's actually targeting the cell renewal?
Yes, sure. So initially, we were looking to test products that were available in the market, and we were able to grow skins that were replicating aged skins, and we decided to measure the biological age change when we treat a skin in the lab with a product. So basically by measuring the DNA, that we can correlate change in the methylation with chronological age. It can build an algorithm. These are the molecular clocks that we use, to assess tissue's biological age. And we created our own skin-specific molecular clock just to measure change in the biological age. Eventually, we realized that, again, there wasn't a product designed to target aged cells in the skin. So we start screening new peptides using models that contain a high amount of senescent cells. So after testing over 1,000 of peptides, we got to this new peptide OS1 that's able to reduce up to 40–50% the total amount of senescent cells. We have tested in models of progeria. That's an accelerated aging model. We have tested in model of UVB damage. So we induce, senescent cells by exposing the cells to UVB, and other like chemical treatments, for example, etoposides. And then once we treat the cells with this peptide, we can measure, through beta-galactosidase or through other markers, and we can see that there is a very significant decrease in the number of senescent cells and the production of other, cytokines related to inflammation, such as IL-6, IL-8, and other SASP factors. So once we got to this peptide, and then we validated the safety, because this is a new peptide, it's only 10 amino acids, but we needed to make sure that it wouldn't cause any toxicity. We needed to really clear all the safety profile. So we have done studies about, mutagenesis, karyotyping, the toxicity in different cell types, different concentrations. We have done like human sensitization studies to see if the peptide could cause any sensitization. And then once everything was clear, we decided to formulate this product on a topical formulation. We then tested if the formulation applied to a skin. We can use the skin biopsies in the labs, and we can see if the peptide penetrates into the, derms. That's kind of, the inner layer of the skin that contains the fibroblasts and that produce collagen. So we want the peptide to penetrate, to obviously work from the inside out. We could quantify the penetration, and then we worked on optimizing the formulation before we launched it to consumers. So it was almost like 5 years developing all the science, all the validation in terms of safety, efficacy. We've done clinical studies, and then obviously we worked a lot on, the formulation itself, the branding, the packaging, until we could, finally bring it to consumers. But it's been very interesting to see that when you put a lot of time and you have a very, I would say, clear rationale behind, your product development, the translation when we bring it to people is that people will perceive the benefits, because everything here was so well thought that now is translating, in improving people's health in different ways. Like, we obviously improve their appearance. Everyone, like, when they buy our product, I know that they are looking to improve their appearance, but we see people with eczema, improving like their problems. We see people with redness, sometimes rosacea. So it's interesting to see when you target like unhealthy skin or aging skin, you both like recover, obviously, the younger appearance, but also I would say the healthy state in terms of function and balance, from the skin.
That's good. That's such a unique way to increasing health span for people and healthy aging. And I just want to clarify for our listeners, all the science and the 5 years of research you've done has resulted in a product, which is your first one, OS1 for OneSkin. And it's a topical cream, which you recommend applying twice a day. And it just, this cream that, as you mentioned, penetrates your skin and is causing healthy aging from the inside out.
Exactly.
2 questions.
Perfectly said.
Good. So 2 questions I had on that. Have you tested it on all skin types? I just wonder, does it work on, Asians versus Americans versus, all ethnicities? And also, you mentioned you've seen some results where it's 40 to 50% clearance of senescent cells. Is there a timeline? Like, how long does that take for me to see that reduction?
Yeah, that's a great point. So in terms of ethnicities, yes, we have cells from donors that are Afro-American, Asian, and Hispanic, besides Caucasian. And we have grown skins that replicates those ethnicities, and we have tested on those skins. And yes, we do see an effect in all of them. Obviously, you see some more pronounced than the others. It depends, Caucasian, they age faster, so you see like, a bigger impact. Asian, they age slower, but we still see an impact, and, it can work also, preventing the accumulation of senescent cells. So yeah, that's a great point that yes, it works for, different ethnicities. And also because in the end, we are targeting a mechanism that, everyone will go through this process of aging, right? So everyone will build senescent cells. Some will build more, faster, some will build slower, but it should work. People should see benefits, some soon, some later, but it should work for basically everyone. Obviously, there are some skin types that, will work better than others. But in general, I would say that the rate of acceptance about the product is pretty high.
It doesn't have any negative side effects for any skin type.
It's very rare when we see someone that has some kind of reaction to our product. Our formulation, the ingredients that we added, they were very well selected in order to only promote benefits, like to not have any, potential irritation, sensitization side effects. So that's why we have like again, people are liking the product, they are sticking around because most of them adapt very well to the formula itself. That's also very important, right? Some people think that, you find the ingredient and it's easy to just apply that ingredient on your face. For example, when fisetin was, getting a lot of hype, people start putting fisetin on their face, and it's not how it works, like the penetration, you have a combination of, ingredients in a emulsion that will allow the penetration and that will allow the stability of the molecule. All of these need to be tested. So
that's a good point.
And in the end, the whole formulation needs to be gentle, needs to be, safe to your skin, right? We don't want to cause harm. You want to only bring benefits. And now the second question is about the elimination of senescent cells. So unfortunately, it's hard to measure that in vivo. So in vitro, we have some models that we treat for 48 hours, and then we see like 20, 30% decrease. But in vivo, I can't really say. What I can say is that's kind of a gradual and accumulative kind of effect. So the more that you use, if you have the peptide will help your cells to repair more damage, so you don't accumulate senescent cells, and also helps, eliminating partially, the senescent cells that you already have established. It's not like a completely senolytic molecule. It's not going to clear 100% of senescent cells. It's kind of, I would say, I wouldn't say that's a mild, depend on the, the model that we test is a pretty significant effect, but it's more like a consistent and cumulative effect that you see the improvement over time. Also because anything that would cause, I would say a huge disruption in your tissue, eliminating a lot of senescent cells. Usually they eliminate also non-senescent cells, so they have some side effects. And this definitely wouldn't be, a safe cosmetic to bring to the market. So we always need to be careful of bringing something that, is efficient, but also, doesn't disrupt, I would say the homeostasis of your tissue. You want to keep, that safety profile very, clear.
I agree with you. It sounds like it becomes a challenge to specifically target those harmful senescent cells, and you especially don't want to eliminate the non-senescent ones in the process.
And even you don't want to eliminate 100%, a little bit of senescent cells, they are important on wound healing. So it's obviously, a balance, and we don't want them to build up too much because they start to be harmful. So our peptide, it works in a way that, decreases that level, doesn't eliminate 100%, but again, improves the efficiency of your cells to be in a healthy and younger state for longer.
I see. Okay. So actually that was going to be one of my questions. So it sounds like it's a bit of a prevention strategy plus clearing away senescent cells. So it prevents your cells from becoming senescent too quickly, but it also can clear away some of the senescent cells, is what your research has shown so far.
Yeah, we are now, it's very hard to track when you are really, the senescent cells are being cleared out, but we are now running an experiment that we are gonna do like a cell live imaging. So we can track, one senescent cells and, over time, make sure that that cell is like dying. So far, we didn't have the equipment to do that, but based on the mechanism that we are, understanding that, our peptide works, and based on the total cell number, because when we treat the cells, the total cell number doesn't change. So it means that if it was a clear senolytic, the total cell number would decrease because you're basically eliminating all the senescent cells. In our case, what we believe we are eliminating partially, and partially is of the healthy cells are proliferating, so you keep the same number of senescent cells. But yeah, we are still trying to really track to make sure that we can say, yes, is clearing out this percentage of senescent cells, and this is the percentage that's replicating. What we have right now is before treatment, after treatment, we measure, we know that decreases. What's happening here, a lot of pathways are being activated. We know that we activate some longevity pathways, we deactivate some inflammatory pathways, but exactly how the cells are dying, is a little tricky to show, but we are getting there.
Yeah, no, I'm very curious to see the results when you get them. I'm sure it's optimistic, but I mean, even so far, you have seen promising results in terms of, as you mentioned, longevity pathways being activated. And I think one of your studies in which you did in C. elegans, granted it's not humans, but showed that there was also an increase in median lifespan by 14%, and some health span markers also increased. So maybe why don't you talk a bit about that? And I also believe you started a human clinical trial, so I'm not sure if you have any results from that you can share.
Yes, so about the C. elegans, what is interesting, because again, if we were only targeting senescent cells, a specific pathway of senescent cells, it shouldn't work for C. elegans. C. elegans, are not don't accumulate senescent cells. So it's a mechanism that's more like on DNA repair and deactivating some pathways that are related to inflammation. That obviously leads to senescence, but it's not the classic, senescent pathways. And the interesting part of like running these experiments with C. elegans is that obviously C. elegans are very different from skin, and it's showing that if it's working for C. elegans, it has, the potential to work for other tissues and, potentially, I don't know, systemically in humans. But it really shows that we are targeting one important mechanism that's related to aging. If it's work on C. elegans, works in skin, can have, I would say, several other applications down the line. And yeah, we saw this experiment, we repeated at least 6 times in different, labs that were partners. So we didn't perform this study ourselves. And we saw up to 21%, I think on average was 16% of increase in the median lifespan. But more interesting, as you said, was the increase in the motility of the worms. So we have very cool videos when we show that the worms that were being fed with OS1, they were much more active, even on, I'd say, mid to late stages of their lives, while the ones that were not, treated with OS1, they were, almost like they couldn't move. They were very, basically static. And even like if they die at the same, similar, I would say, time point, if you have a life here that's full of energy, that's what we want in the end, right? Mm-hmm. So we were very excited about this health span improvement in this specific marker of motility. And the company that ran this study, Nima Life, they have tested like several other molecules that are considered, to be lifespan or health span, they can extend lifespan or health span, and they were really impressed by the data that they saw with our peptide. So this is very encouraging. I hope eventually we can have a OS1, to treat our bodies systemically, so we can also have a lot of energy and kind of, long-term vision for a more preventative type of therapy.
That's good. Yeah, I think at least in my mind, the thing with senescent cells is that even as you said, even if it's not completely clearing them out, even if it's preventing the accumulation of it. It sounds big just because it's such a, it's intertwined in our bodies, where the accumulation of senescent cells causes the other ones to become senescent, which means there's all this DNA damage that's happening. It becomes much harder to repair, especially as you age. So it just seems like a very vicious cycle to me. And if you can just slow the accumulation, at least, it has more compounding effects than just, you know, clearing away one thing.
Yes, it is exactly about this compounding effects, you know, over time that will make a huge difference down the line if you're gonna, you know, develop a chronic disease on your 60 or when you're like 90s, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So I guess one thing you had mentioned earlier was that fisetin, which had become popular, and then I think some of the other ones are retinol, which is, I guess, considered the gold standard right now in skin aging, and maybe that's going to change. How does OS1 peptide compare to that? And yeah, why can't I just be taking fisetin or quercetin, one of those other natural ones?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We have even tested them in vitro. We see that fisetin in vitro, it decreases up to 20% in the amount of senescent cells. But some of those molecules, they have like a few challenges in terms of penetration through the skin. Fisetin has also a color that it could make your skin, you know, a little bit orange.
Oh. Oh, someone's looking for that then.
Exactly, yeah. And then you need to test the stability. So a lot of those natural products also, to have them in a purity that is considered, you know, satisfying enough to put in a cream is challenging. A lot of those processes of, you know, extraction, they use some harsh chemicals. So to have the final, I'd say, compound very clean and pure to add in a product is a bit of a challenge as well. So it's not that they couldn't be used. We did have tested them in the lab, and we even combined them with our peptide, and in the end, our peptide by itself was, you know, working better. And if we don't need to deal, you know, with kind of, you know, the safety of, you know, having an impure molecule, or if you need to test the penetration, because it only makes sense to add something that's going to be penetrating to your skin and it's going to really, you know, deliver benefits there. So that's why we decided, you know, we tested a lot of molecules, but we decided to, you know, focus primarily on our peptide that was, you know, able to deliver like great results, no side effects, and also could penetrate into the skin. And I think you asked a different, what was the next question? You also mentioned about retinol, right? So yeah, retinol or retinoic acid was interesting because we start testing it as a positive control, since it's considered, you know, the gold standard molecule in anti-aging products, and you see it everywhere. And then we did both. We both added retinol in the media. So the skins are being cultured in an interface air liquid, and we added the retinol here, or we apply retinol topically. And when we analyze both like the gene expression or the histology of the skin, the histology is pretty clear. We see that the upper layers start to come out like a peeling effect, exactly what we feel when we, you know, are applying retinol. And then when we checked the gene expression, some genes that are related to aging, like P21 and P16, they were going up instead of going down. And then I was like, wow, I was using retinol because, you know, I had acne, and eventually, you know, it's supposed to be good for anti-aging. And then, okay, I'm going to stop using this right now, because even, so what we believe is that there will be a peak if you use retinol, mainly if it's a little harsh and kind of, you know, cause some redness. You can have a spike of, you know, some genes related to inflammation and aging. when you stop using or when your skin recovers, those levels can go down. So in the end, what we realize, okay, if we have a molecule that instead of, targeting a process that's, removing the upper layers of your skin, that works from the inside out, that works better and doesn't have the side effects, I would go for that option, right? And that's why we we chose to only work with OS1. And but again, so if some people still want to use retinol, my only recommendation is that don't overuse it. Don't have your skin like peeling out the whole time. Also because you only have so many stem cells in your skin to replace those cells that you are renewing. So eventually, if you use retinol for like 30 years of your life, you can get in the end a very thin skin, a skin that's more sensitive, because when you are renewing your skin, you basically, you are basically getting rid of the skin barrier. That's like the upper layer of your skin that protects your skin against, infections and so on. So you can get some, I think you can, what I want to say is that you can compromise your skin health in the long term if you overuse, retinol, acids, any harsh treatment in general should be, we should look at them with like some cautious.
That's a very good point, and that's interesting. I didn't know about that, because I do think a lot of these products seem to be very promising in the short term, but you don't know what the long-term consequences can be.
Yeah. And anything that you see that, if it's inducing a lot of inflammation, it's not good for you in the long term, like that inflammation, it's really causing some damage, underneath in your tissue. And it's basically, creating an environment that, it's good for senescent cells, because if you have inflammation, it's kind of, that feed forward loop, right? That it's easier to have more senescent cells instead of when you recover, to your tissue to a healthy, low inflammation state. That's not where, senescent cells will thrive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so if not, say, retinol or acetylene, what about if I just take one of the other senolytic drugs? Because I was had Reis, this founder of Repair Biotechnologies, on the podcast 2 weeks ago, and he was talking to me about the promising effects of senolytic drugs, and a lot of people are already using them just off the shelf, off label, and they've anecdotally, and maybe I guess you test some biomarkers too, they've been showing good results. So why can't I just pop in one of these pills instead of, I guess, using a topical cream?
Yeah, I mean, you could, pop some of those potential senolytics that are naturally derived, right? Ficetine or quercetin. Obviously, there are some risks that we are still not aware, so, clinical studies are still ongoing. But what we believe is that, to have your healthiest skin and even, your healthiest body, you need both a strategy that's internally and that's like, also topically. When you treat your skin topically, you guarantee that, those ingredients, they are, reaching the site that you want to treat. And for example, hydration and moisturizing is a very important, thing to keep a healthy skin. And even if you drink a lot of water, your skin will still need, some product that will keep your skin hydrated. So I believe the best strategy is a two-way strategy, it's kind of, the inside out and the outside in. And when you treat topically, you are guaranteeing that that specific ingredient is reaching, the tissue, the target that you want to treat. A lot of times it's important, like, to have, a diet rich on vitamin C and, potentially even, Senolytics, if you want to add, yes, it could help. It could help your overall, body, but doesn't mean that you don't need a treatment that, is applied direct to the site that you are looking to improve.
I see. Okay, so it's more like OneSkin's product is, directly targeting skin aging, which obviously, as we discussed, helps prevent accumulation of senescent cells elsewhere in the body too, but you can almost ensure that at least your skin is being protected from from aging early.
Yeah, and a lot of what drives skin aging is also sun damage, right? And there is so much that you can eat that will improve, that will make your skin, I would say, strong to, to prevent sun damage. And obviously, one of the best ways to prevent sun damage is sunscreen. But eventually, when you get to accumulate some damage, you need the products that helps like repairing that damage. So again, you don't accumulate aged cells, senescent cells in your body. So definitely there is still a need for topical products. I think that's the main point.
Absolutely. No, I'm really stupid. I played a lot of basketball in India growing up under the sun, and had this weird theory where every time I'd put sunscreen, I never played well, so it was unlucky for me. So I never wore sunscreen growing up. Yeah, that was really dumb. Now I've learned my lesson. Now I wear sunscreen, but I think I saw some skin damage definitely back then.
Yeah, and that's another interesting. A lot of people that play, grew up playing whatever sport, tennis or so on, they are looking like for age reversal treatments to, repair some damage. And that's how they find OneSkin sometimes, and then they start using and they see improvements, kind of dark spots and the skin that is a little more affected by sun damage. So it's good to see that at least there is a possibility of, reversing it, partially of this damage that you have accumulated over the years.
So I guess, is there a good age to start applying this cream, as in like, should I wait till I'm a little older, 30, 40 or something, or should I start earlier?
Yeah, I usually say that the best way to treat aging is to prevent, right? So it's easier to prevent than reverse. And again, this cream, this peptide works both like to help your skin to be more efficient repairing damage, so you don't get to age or you slow the aging process. So usually we say around like 25 would be a good age, because you need a moisturizer anyways. This one is a moisturizer that will also help your skin, prevent aging. It's definitely better than what they call like preventative Botox that, it's kind of nonsense for me. But when you have your tissues and your cells, stimulated to be, active and functional and healthy, that's the state that we want to preserve, right, over time. So we see, we recommend, for prevention after, 25. But we usually, people with like 35, 45, they start seeing like great results, because it's when you are starting to accumulate more, damage, but it's still not like so late. Obviously, we have like customers that are still, they are already like 50s, 60s, 70s, and they also see results. But again, at some point, there is only so much that we can do, right, with this product. I believe in the future we'll have, new discoveries that we can, the age reversal effect can be even more potent. But again, we needed to go still, we need still to evolve in terms of making sure that the safety and, the benefits are clear and kind of, calculated to bring this to people. But yeah, best again, never too early or too late to start.
No, I totally agree with that. Two last questions before I leave you. So I guess one, have you done any human studies or human clinical trials, seen any results from that? Because I know it was funny anecdote, real quick. I was trying to buy cream off of just Amazon the other day, and I don't have a particular brand that I use now. It's, I think, going to be OneSkin, but I literally put in cream, and almost all 95% of the results had the branding anti-aging in them. And I was like, this just sounds very gimmicky. Like, what does it actually mean? So yeah, so I'm curious what results you've been seeing in humans.
Yeah, and we try to avoid as much as possible this, you know, I'd say word anti-aging or claim, because mainly because of that, because we know that 99% of the anti-aging products, they have like no science or no data to really back what their products are doing. And what we have seen in vitro too, that a lot of them, they have a lot of ingredients that cause more harm than good to your skin. So definitely that's not on the, you know, the sector that we see ourselves. We see ourselves on the kind of improving the health of your skin, rejuvenating of your skin, and kind of a longevity targeted treatment. But sorry, I forgot your question. No, the clinical studies. Clinical studies. Yes, so we've done a 12 weeks clinical study to evaluate both like improvement in the appearance, fine lines, firmness, elasticity, and skin barrier. And this was initially a split phase. So half of the phase had the peptide, half of the phase didn't have the peptide, more like a basic formulation. And what we found that was very interesting, that the side with the peptide showed a 15 to 18% improvement in the skin barrier. So again, it's showing that when you target like a specific mechanism, in the end, you are improving the function of the skin. And this is also correlated, you know, with improvement in the skin appearance, you know, as a whole. Smoothness, the tone of your skin gets more even. But again, we were very happy to see that we are also improving the function of your skin. We also have another study ongoing now where we have subjects, and maybe another thing that's important to mention is that we measure the time points after 6 weeks and after 12 weeks. And after 6 weeks, we already see significant improvements with the product, but it also increases after 12 weeks. Again, you know, reinforcing that the effect, the benefits are cumulative. The second study that we have ongoing is a study that the subjects, they are using the product for 6 months up to a year. And then we are collecting biopsies to measure the change in the biological age by using the product topically. So it'll be very interesting to find how long it takes to really, you know, see change in your biological age by measuring and, you know, the DNA methylation profile, and really validating that, you know, by treating your skin topically, you can reverse the age of your skin. So this should be coming up in the next few months, and I'll be happy to share this data with you.
That would be wonderful. So to clarify, that clock would be testing my biological age just overall, or is it skin specific?
It's skin, it's biopsy. Skin. So we are collecting biopsies, and yeah, we are compared like treated versus not treated.
Okay, but yeah, very curious to see the results. I mean, I think it's great, because I think one thing we haven't touched upon is that, you know, some of the drugs require FDA approval, which takes a really long time to go through, whereas more of a topical supplement, you can actually bring it to consumers, which means it's faster time to actually getting all the signs that you're seeing in terms of aging and longevity and how to at least slow it and reverse it to some extent as well, and bring it to consumers early and who can start benefiting from it instead of going through really long long processes and regulations.
And we intended to get there to the long processes and regulations. But again, if we can bring some benefits to our consumer, faster, I want that. I know that there is a huge market looking for products that are really effective out there. And unfortunately, no one is really, designing a product to target skin aging. The majority of our products are really a mix of, random ingredients and, if a lot of, I would say, very aggressive claims. But if there is an opportunity here that we can already, improve skin health with a topical product, let's start with that. If the safety allows us, and then in parallel, let's keep, researching and exploring how we can get this to, potentially treat a specific age-related condition, or to, administer this systemically and have a more, I would say, profound effect on your overall health.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the future for OneSkin then? Do you have other products in the pipeline?
Yes, we do. So our next product is a product for the body, because again, we are talking about skin health. That doesn't mean only your face, your hands and neck. We really want to treat your whole body and, preserve and extend the health of your skin. So this is coming up by the end of the year, beginning of next year. So people, I recommend you subscribe to our newsletter so you can, get to know it first when it's available. Second, we plan to add SPF in one of our products. So, we can have both the prevention of, sun damage and the effect of OS1 to help repair sun damage in one product. And then we are also interested in exploring this peptide for what is basically an extension of your skin, your scalp, right? The hair loss and hair thinning and hair growth is also related to aging. And there are several studies showing that the accumulation of senescent cells is correlated with hair loss. And that's something that we want to explore in the future, if we can have a treatment for, hair loss and hair growth as well. And in parallel, we have a different version of our peptide. We have a smaller version that we are testing in other conditions, such as metabolic disorders. We are seeing very interesting data, also immunomodulation. So we have some partners that are, researching different models of applications for this molecule that we, eventually want to bring more through the therapeutical route.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to try those products, and I'm sure it's going to benefit a lot of people.
Yeah, we are all excited. We are getting very good, feedback and reviews from our customers. So yeah, we feel that, all of this, work and this vision that we had, it made sense. And yeah, we are excited to keep growing and keep, bringing products that are, scientifically validated to really improve, people's health. And yeah, that's definitely a very, I would say, inspiring and rewarding journey.
That's awesome. So before we end, and I tell people where they can find your product, is there anything else you wanted to cover about your company that we may have missed, or aging, longevity in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited about this field in general. When we started like 5 years ago, there were very few companies, and today there are so many companies that's hard to keep up. But I'm seeing that so much of that research is getting to people now, right? Obviously, there are many companies, on the therapeutical area, but there are several companies already providing, diagnostics, how you can measure your biological age, or other types of supplements. And I think it's super cool to see that type of science, and very huge quality in terms of founders and people behind those products coming to consumers and making a difference. So I'm excited for the next year, because I think things will exponentially change, and we'll be part of this new era. And hopefully, aging, or aging is gonna be like a number, right? We'll be having our energy and our vitality for many, many years. So yeah, I think everyone that is it's around this community is kind of excited for that.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so optimistic about the space, and it's just so wonderful to, as you said, feel like I'm 20 when I'm much older, and also just have more metrics around my personal health, be able to optimize it. Who doesn't want to be healthy? It's just, it's one of those things, like you mentioned earlier, that, all of us age. It's something that's universal. It's literally a bonding factor where I think almost everyone should come together and fight this, where we say that, let's all be healthy for longer. It's wonderful. So
I know.
couldn't be more
That's
excited.
exactly the vision that I have for the future. If I close my eyes, I see a future is that you are having fun with your grandchildren, and you are doing everything that you love, and there is not those limitations that we see people complaining today, right? I can't do this or that because I'm old. This will be something that's out of the conversation. So yeah, I'm very excited for that future, and we are building it, right? It's starting right now. So
great. Yeah. So why don't you tell people where they can find your product, where they can sign up for your newsletter, how they can connect with OneSkin, reverse skin aging, but also aging in general?
Yes. So people can go to our site, oneskin.co, not .com. Please also, so in our site, if you scroll down on the footer, there is like a space that you can leave your email to get our newsletter and different campaigns, and we announce when we have new products. Also follow us on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we love hearing what people want us to develop. We love getting feedback, and we are here obviously to serve our community. And yeah, thank you for this opportunity, Asa. This was so fun, and thank you for this work that you're doing, in curating content and bringing this to so many people out there. So it was very fun.
Appreciate it. No, thank you so much for the future you're building. So I'm just only happy to put all this wonderful information out there. And yeah, everyone go check out OneSkin. It's awesome. They're changing the future. So thanks again, Carolina, for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Asta.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi everyone, if you enjoyed today's episode and learned from it, I would love it if you could subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps get the word out. Additionally, it would mean a lot if you could show some support and share the channel with your friends and family. I want to get the word out on aging and longevity science to as many people as possible, such that we can all be healthier for longer. Okay, if you enjoyed this content on longevity science and science-backed health optimization and longevity lifestyle hacks, you can check out my newsletter, which is livelongerworld.substack.com. You can also listen to the audio version of this podcast on Spotify or other places that you get your podcast, if that's the preferred medium. You will find all these resources on my website, which is livelongerworld.com. All right, I do have social media as well. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I am at livelongerworld.
Instagram, I am at Longevity Future, where I often post graphics distilling the basics of longevity science and also talking about longevity lifestyle hacks that I personally practice. Lastly, you can support my work by donating on Patreon, which is simply patreon.com/live longer world. All of this is also included in the show notes, so if you want, check that out. And that's it for now. Stay in good health, and I will catch you next time.